What a pleasant good morning and welcome to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of the most compelling news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Today is Thursday, March 20th, 2025, and I'm your presenter, Otis Sankan. Stories topping the news this morning. Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission's releases 2023-2024 summary reports indicating theft, fraud, and misapplication of millions of United States dollars at top government institutions. Residents of the borough of Newtown threatened protests against members of the majority bloc of the House of Representatives' failures to reverse the suspension of other lawmakers. Spokesperson Samson Curry says the Unity Party-led government has violated nearly all the laws of Liberia. Supreme Court issues writ of prohibition against Liberia annual conference of the United Methodist Church Ministry of Justice and the Liberia National Police to explain recent scuffles for perpetual ownership between United Methodist Church and the Global Methodist Church. And away from Liberia, close to 70,000 of Africans have expressed interest in moving to the U.S. following Washington's offer to resettle people from the country's African community, a business group has said. Nigeria is facing an escalating political crisis after President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in the oil-rich Rivers State and suspended the governor, his deputies, and all lawmakers in the state parliament for 6 months. The headlines, the bulletin of the news, the voices of the newsmaker, and other developments are all packaged in this 6 a.m. edition of King's Newsroom. For a very short break, to be back with the full bulletin of the news. Thanks so much for joining us on the news program. The Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission has released its official 2023-2024 summary report outlining a total of 27 investigated and completed cases. The Liberia Anti-Graft Institution summary report has indicated theft, fraud, and misapplication of millions of United States dollars. The report covers the Bureau of State-Owned Enterprises with allegation of procurement, fraud, and misapplication of funds totaling US $124,000. National Elections Commission with allegation of officials' corruptions and misapplication of funds. LACC also named Ministry of Public Works with allegation of construction fraud and misapplication of funds involving a company totaling US $900,000. National Watch Commission with allegation of theft and misapplication of funds totaling US $316,200 and LRD $31,688, among many others. The commission said it is currently working with the court to secure indictment against all those involved, adding there is only one court in Montserrat handling corruption cases, so the process might take a while. According to Wednesday release report, the commission is poised to publish the cases completed for the first quarter in April 2025, adding these cases have been concluded. However, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission said the lack of a specialized anti-corruption court remains a primary challenge in the fight against corruption. Densely populated borough of Newtown residents have warned the majority bloc of the House of Representatives to immediately cease what they describe as unconstitutional suspension of duly elected lawmakers who refuse to recognize the renegade lawmakers' unlawful leadership. The residents said failures to reverse the suspension They will mobilize other community residents to invoke their democratic power against the majority bloc. Addressing the press conference Wednesday, the spokesperson of the resident Samson Kari demands integrity of Liberian democratic institution in the face of a deepening crisis within the House of Representatives. He also accused top officials or opposition politicians, parties, and the religious community of not making significant interventions in the long-lasting impasse and illegal suspension of lawmakers who disagreed with Representative Richard Coon and his majority bloc. Kari, at the same time, expressed utmost dismay and strong condemnations of what he calls blatant disregard for constitutional provisions carried out by the government. He noted that the rule of law and established procedures governing political contests must be respected, adding that the Unity Party-led government has sadly breached nearly all the laws of Liberia. The Supreme Court has issued an alternative writ of prohibition against the Liberian Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church, the Ministry of Justice, and the Liberian National Police. The court ordered the parties to file their responses by March 27, 2025 to explain why the petitioner's request should not be granted. It can be recalled the petitioner, who are former members of the 72nd United Methodist Church, are seeking to stop the respondent from interfering with their property rights. According to them, they purchased the land and built the church, which they named the 72nd United Methodist Church. The petitioner also challenged the church's new book of discipline, which includes changes such as the ordination of a gay clergy and the recognition of same-sex marriages. The petitioner also claimed that Bishop Craig has imposed these changes on the Liberian Episcopal area, suspended dissenting members, and appointed new pastors to their church despite the rejection of the new discipline. They further argued that their constitutional rights to disassociate from the church were ignored when the Ministry of Justice transferred the church property to the annual conference without due process. A pro-democracy organization, Solidarity and Trust for a New Day, has sharply criticized the National Port Authority for terminating the services of over 450 civil servants and contractors. Says the plan by the National Port Authority to terminate the services of over 450 civil servants and contractors is outrageous and condemnable. The NPA Managing Director Sekou Dukley has claimed inheriting an overcrowded workforce, adding that he has been tasked by the NPA Board of Directors to create a lean and efficient institution. According to him, his actions were prompted based on an instruction of the NPA Board of Directors led by Unity Party National Chairman Revoluta Tapet. But in the press conference, a press release statement issued in Monrovia State denounced the move as a blatant act of political victimization and framed it vow to deploy every legal and political measures necessary to resist what it calls an unjust and orchestrated purge of hardworking Liberians. The pro-democracy organization accused the NPA managing directors of executing a politically motivated purge disguised as an organizational overhaul, something the group said has exposed the hypocrisy of President Joseph Boaga Youth Unemployment, a commitment he reaffirmed at a recent cabinet meeting. Stein also claimed that Sekou Dukley has dismissed numerous workers perceived to be political opponents, while at the same time hiring serious individuals with close ties to the United Party. The press statement pointed out that the selective hiring and firing pattern suggests a political charged agenda rather than a legitimate effort to improve the NPA efficiencies. Stein further said he sees the move as part of a broader effort by the ruling Unity Party to abuse and consolidate power by removing perceived opponents from the public sector. According to Stein, he reviews the action as a clear violation of the rights of civil servants and an unjust attack on individuals who are simply trying to provide for their families. The pro tempore of the Liberian Senate, Yomblin Kaga Lawrence, has mandated the Secretary of the Senate to communicate with the board of the Liberia Electricity Corporation to halt its newly nominated Managing Director, Mohammed Sharif, from taking office until he is confirmed by the Liberian Senate. According to a statement released Wednesday, the pro tempore decision was triggered by concern raised by Broom County Senator Edwin Snow, informing plenary that the newly nominated Managing Director, Mohammed Sharif, is about to take office without being confirmed by the Senate. Senator Snow further informed plenary that the nomination letter clearly states that the managing director should take office with immediate effect, something which undermines Article 54 of the Constitution of Liberia. In a, in a related development, the plenary of the Senate has at the same time mandated the Director General of the General Services Agency to do a clarification in the print and electronic media on his proposal for an increase in the purchase of vehicles for senior officials of government from US 45,000 to US 65,000. The decision was based on a report from the Senate Committee on Autonomous Commissions and Agency. National Water Sanitation and Hygiene Commission Chief Executive Officer George Yango was on Wednesday ordered arrested by the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission for defiance after being invited to face questioning over corruption allegations. Minutes after the LACC action against the Wise Commission boss, social media got flooded with several posts indicating the arrest of George Yango by the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission for alleged corruption allegations. However, addressing a press conference minutes after his release, the Wise acknowledged a letter previously written by the LACC to the entity regarding financial improprieties, misappropriations, and mismanagement. He said his office was aggressively entered by some LACC staff and officers of the Liberia National Police, where he was ordered to go along with them. Yango has, however, pledged to exonerate himself in any corruption allegation against him, noting that allegation culminated from the past administration. A fire victim in West Point community, Jonan Freeman, has described the recent fire incident that completely destroyed Sarah's homes as total devastating and sad experience. The fire incident, which took place on March 14, destroyed about 9 houses, which have led to Sarah's person being homeless in the densely populated area. Speaking in an interview Wednesday, Freeman attributed cause of the fire to an electrical fault and are currently sleeping in unfinished structures due to lack of money to rebuild their damaged homes. According to him, although some of the victims have found temporary shelters with friends, several others are still sleeping in open structures, while others are adding that it might lead them to getting sick from cold and other diseases. He also highlighted the community efforts in battling the flames, explaining that local residents tried to extinguish the fire before firefighters arrived with a water truck, at which time the houses were already destroyed. However, Freeman is calling on non-governmental organizations, humanitarians, and government officials to come to their aid. He further emphasized the impact on children, noting that many young fire victims are unable to attend school due to lack of uniforms, shoes, and copybooks. A coalition of Sarah's pro-democracy organizations, the Consortiums of Anti-Corruption Advocates, had described as malicious and fake propaganda allegations made against the management of the Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment. Recently, an allegation was made that the agency used $675,000 United States dollars to facilitate project assessment tour of 6 counties. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, the head of the Secretariat, Samuel Jala, said the coalition investigation has established that the agency did not use $675,000 United States dollars just on assessment of 6 counties as claimed by others, adding that the funds are intended to support the agency oversight implementation role on the 2024 district projects across the country and to handle other administrative and technical related works. Jala stated that LACC is currently implementing a $3.5 million hospital construction project in Buchanan, Grand Bassa County, construction of a double box covered project in Todit, Moserado County, construction of a 32 by 16 feet ferry in Guapulu County, in addition to the over 213 legislative support project, LSP. He then called on those he said manufacturing lies and falsehood against the LACC executive director, Julius Silis, to immediately desist as he is exploring opportunities to strengthen infrastructure development in Liberia. The Liberia National Fire Service Director General Wasua Balfour has acknowledged constraint faced by workers of the institution due to lack of employees, bosses to to ease their transport expenses. Speaking in an interview Wednesday, the LNSF boss stated that many employees struggle to get to work, adding that availability of buses could provide much needed relief. He said although the institution has made some improvement in recent weeks by acquiring 14 motorbikes, 6 fire trucks, 2 fire jumps, and 3 modified fire tankers to enhance emergency response efforts, there is still a need to do better. Buvard added that additional fire trucks have already been stationed at various fire departments across Monrovia. He stressed that the new vehicles will not only be used for firefighting, but also for emergency rescue operations. The Liberia National Fire Service Director General further mentioned that ordered fire trucks have been handed over to the fire department, and in cases rescue operation are unsuccessful, individuals in critical condition will be transported to hospital for medical care. A retired professor of the A.M. Dougherty School of Medicine, Dr. Rosita Marshall, in partnership with Voices of the Elders, has donated assorted items to service organizations across Montserrat County in celebration of her 80th birth anniversary. Dr. Marshall is a retired professor of the A.M. Dougherty School of Medicine, UL, and a retired consultant pediatrician from the John F. Kennedy Memorial Medical Center. She's currently served as president of Women Organized Resources for Liberia Development Incorporated, a nonprofit humanitarian organization organized in 1991, and also chairperson of the board of trustees of the Pediatric Association of Liberia. Speaking to King's FM Tuesday in Monrovia, Dr. Marshall said donated assorted items are her way of giving back to society in appreciation to God for allowing her reach such a milestone. She noted that 4 organizations were selected to benefit from the donations. Organizations that benefited include the Old Folks Refuge Home on Ashmont Street, Dr. Robert C.D. Bashev Clinic in Virginia, St. Stephen's Episcopal Church Scholarship Fund, and Women Organized Resources for Liberia Development Incorporated. Dr. Rosa Marshall used the occasion to encourage Liberians to remain united and patriotic amidst pressing challenges the country is faced with. The coordinator at the Old Folks Refuge Home, Ira Scott, on behalf of the recipients, thanked Dr. Marshall for identifying with them and called on others to emulate her good work. And away from Liberia, close to 70,000 South Africans have expressed interest in moving to the U.S. following Washington's offer to resettle people from the country's Afrikaner community, a business group has said. The South African Chamber of Commerce in the U.S., SACUSA, said its website received tens of thousands of registrations from those seeking more information. In the February executive order, President Donald Trump said Afrikaners, descendants of merely Dutch settlers who arrived in the 17th century, could be admitted as refugees as they were victims of unjust racial discriminations. Relations between the U.S. and South Africa have become increasingly strained since Trump became president in January. Nigeria is facing an escalating political crisis after President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in the oil-rich Rivers State and suspended the governor, his deputies, and all lawmakers in the state parliament for 6 months. In a nationwide broadcast on Tuesday evening, Tinubu said he has received disturbing security reports detailing incidents of vandalization of pipelines by some militants without the governor taking any action to curtail them. He added that he could not allow the grave situation to continue, but lawyers and opposition politicians are questioning the legality of the president's decision. Thanks so much for joining us on the news program. Indeed, if you are just joining us, it's a reminder that you are in tune to King's News Broom, 45 minutes of the most compelling news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories top in the news program this morning. Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission releases 2023-2024 summary reports indicating theft, fraud, and misapplication of millions of United States dollars at top government institutions. Residents of the borough of Newtown threatened protests against members of the majority bloc of the House of Representatives. Failures to reverse the suspension of other lawmakers. Spokesperson Samson Carey says the Unity Party-led government has violated nearly all the laws of Liberia. The Supreme Court issues writ of prohibition against Liberia Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church, Ministry of Justice, and the Liberia National Police to explain recent scuffle for property ownership between the United Methodist Church and the Global Methodist Church. And away from Liberia, close to 70,000 of Africans have expressed interest in moving to the U.S. following Washington's offer to resettle people from the country Africana community, a business group has said. Nigeria is facing an escalating political crisis after President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in the all-rich River State and suspended the governor, his deputy, and all lawmakers in the state parliament for 6 months. We are taking another break to return, this time with the voices of the newsmaker. Thanks so much for rejoining us on the news program. Today's development, the densely populated borough of Newtown residents have warned the majority bloc of the House of Representatives to immediately cease what they describe as unconstitutional suspension of duly elected lawmakers who refuse to recognize the renegade lawmakers' unlawful leadership. Yet now, it's Samson Carey, the spokesman of the group.
The previous ruling of ultra-virus in the case involving members of the House of Representatives has drawn us closer to a full-blown constitutional crisis because of the lack of understanding of this intended audience. We hope the next ruling will be simple, explicit, and put an end to everything that is happening. The majority bloc must desist from suspending other lawmakers duly elected to represent their people because they fail to recognize their power grab. We, the people, will be forced to revoke our power against them if they do not revoke all purported suspension against members of the legislature who do not agree with them. The executive branch of government must start facilitating this governance malfeasance and return to its constitutional responsibilities. As one of the historical centers of the political activism, good governance, and democratic principles, the borough remains committed to playing an active role in the restoration of these principles. We will continue to engage other communities in the coming days in designing strategies that will help us protect the value of multi-party democracy and the adherence to constitutional order and the rule of law.
He's Samson Carey, the spokesperson of the resident of the borough of Newtown. The National Water, Sanitation and Hygiene Commission of Chief Executive Officer George Yango was on Wednesday ordered arrested by the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission for defiance after being evicted to face questioning over corruption allegation, meaning after the LACC action against the Watch Commission boss, George Yanko. He said his office was aggressively entered by some LACC staff and officers of the Liberia National Police, where he was ordered to go along with them. Yet now is George Yanko.
Social media has been trending the arrests. I would like to say that. Let me use that word, the arrest of Mr. Yango as the head of the Watch Commission. So in the interest of protecting the integrity of the institution and the staff that work here, I'd like to make some very basic clarifications. And maybe I'll begin with why we are where we are. And that is, some time ago, last year, there was information in the media that there were misappropriations in the commission, mismanagement, financial impropriety, and the figures were given. So the LACC received a letter, I don't know, maybe from whom, but our attention was called by the LACC. In one instance, by a letter that I felt they didn't give sufficient reason why that letter was sent to me. We consulted the LACC. The LACC agreed that yes, that letter, they may need to redirect it. So sometime last week, a letter was redirected to us to provide some, in fact, to an investigation. And then you will know that this month is what we call World Water Month. So by tradition, the Commission takes the lead in the planning and implementation of programs leading to the commemoration of a day called World Water Day. So, given that the circumstances, we wrote the LACC, and through the LACC that we were happy to be able to get once and for all to clear this particular issue that's been looming.
He's the CEO of the National Water and Sanitation, the Water Sanitation Hygiene Commission, George Yanko. They're addressing a team of reporters in Monrovia. A fire victims in West Spring community, Jonathan Freeman, has described the recent fire incident that completely destroyed several homes as total devastating and sad experience. The fire incident, which took place on March 14, destroyed about 9 houses, which have led to several persons being homeless in the densely populated areas.
The 14th of March, we were here by 1 to 2 in the afternoon time. We go low, they have caught fire. From there, people came, we started shouting, 5 bedrooms around here. So when they catch a fire, we started shouting, we that were here. Other people came to rescue us, the fire extended to the other house here. 8 bedrooms around here. From there, the fire started extending. It extended to that other concrete house there. 6-bedroom houses. Fire started destroying it. Community dwellers came to help. We can process to off the fire, also fire service eating. Since that Friday, up to this time, we are homeless. We don't have anywhere to go. Nobody coming to our rescue. Either the representative or any government official, NGOs, there be anybody. From that time, we've been looking, no way. Even our kids are here to school. Their kids are going. How do they go to school? Market women, money burn, they don't have no means of survival. And they market themselves in some pay loan. How do they pay back? They don't even have loan. The cause of the fire, it was electricity. It was electricity. Our cause of the fire. Because nobody was open. Yes. Every house here is has electricity. Yes, it was 3 houses that went down to us. And the other houses, the fire extended as the one that they are moving the thing on that. We need the help. Even the schools are here. The children can no longer go there. 3 went down to action. There were 9. Even you see the other house here that had a blue thing. They started it, but now there's no money to end it. So when it rained down, other people are sleeping with friends, but majority of us were sleeping in this 2 building. Every Friday night, the heavy pool of rain down, and Sunday night, the heavy pool of rain that came down.
He is one of the fire victims in the densely populated community of West Point, Jonathan Freeman. They are speaking to our reporter. With halfway past the news program this morning, it's a reminder that you're in tune to King's News Broom. 45 minutes of the most compelling news from Liberia and other parts of the world. Stories topping the news program this morning. Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission releases 2023-2024 summary report indicating theft, fraud, and misapplication of millions of United States dollars at top government institutions. Residents of the borough of Newtown threaten protest act that's action against members of the majority bloc of the House of Representatives' failures to reverse the suspension of other lawmakers. Spokesperson Samson Kari says the Unity Party-led government has violated nearly all the laws of Liberia. Supreme Court issues writ of prohibition against Liberia annual conference of the United Methodist Church, Ministry of Justice, and the Liberia National Police to explain recent scuffle for property ownership between the United Methodist Church and the Global Methodist Church. And away from Liberia, close to 70,000 of Africans have expressed interest in moving to the United States following Washington's offer to resettle people from the country Africana community, a business group has said. Nigeria is facing an escalating political crisis after President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in the oil-rich River State and suspended the governor, his deputy, and all lawmakers in the state parliament for 6 months. We are taking another break to return with more development on the news program.
Social media has been trending.
Thanks so much for rejoining us. A coalition of several pro-democracy organizations, the custodians of anti-corruption advocates, has described as malicious and fake propaganda allegations made against the management of the Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment. Addressing a press conference in Monrovia, the head of Secretariat, Samuel Jala, said the coalition investigation has established that the agency did not use $675,000 United States dollars just on assessment of 6 counties as claimed by others, adding that the funds are intended to support the agency oversight implementation role on the 2024 district projects across the country and to handle other administrative technical related work. Yedna is the spokesperson of the group.
Anti-corruption advocates has described as malicious and fake propaganda allegations being made against the management of the Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment that the agency uses $175,000 just to facilitate project assessment tour of 6 counties. The group further sees the allegation as not only false and misleading, but a misrepresentation of the facts intended to undermine the high efforts of the Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment in the provision of basic services to the Liberian people, especially in rural communities. Having followed the activities of the Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment, the consortium of anti-corruption advocates established that the agency did not use $675,000 just on assessment of 6 counties as claimed by detractors, but the funds are intended to support the agency oversight implementation role on the 2024 district projects across the country. Apart from assessment tasks, Liz has to handle matters relating to other administrative and technical works. Our investigation has also shown that the Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment conducted a consultative assessment process to decide on every proposed project from lawmakers to meet and discuss with local community leaders, including superintendent, district commissioners, town chiefs, etc., who are direct beneficiaries of these projects. During the 2024 budget year, 103 lawmakers submitted proposed projects under the Legislative Projects Liberia Agency for Community Empowerment. Based on this, the LACE management has to dispatch a team of assessment officers to ascertain the validity of these projects. Based on this robust monitoring evaluation exercise, the LACE successfully vetted and verified these legislative projects, the 73 districts in Liberia. In fact, as falsely claimed that the assessment was carried out in 6 counties, the assessment talks are currently going as this is a continual process.
He's the head of the Secretariat of a coalition of pro-democracy organization, Samuel Jala, there addressing the press in Monrovia. The Liberia National Fire Service Director General, Wasua Bravo, has acknowledged constraints faced by workers of the institution due to lack of employee buses to ease their transportation expenses. Speaking in an interview Wednesday, the LNSF boss stated that many employees struggle to get to work, adding that availability of buses could provide much needed relief.
Liberia National Fire Service. We just thought to update you on our activities here. As you are aware, some time ago we went to the Capitol building to provide some information on the money given out for the purchase of transport equipment. Instead of that money that we received 4 pickups for our operation, we received 2 sedans, and tomorrow we'll be receiving an employee bus. It's strenuous on the employees to always pay that way to come to work and go back. So we thought to get a bus for them that will help to commute them to work and back. We also look forward to 14 motorbikes that will be coming, 6 fire trucks, 2 fire jeeps, and 3 modified water tankers that will help us to fight fire. Before then, we inherited the purchase of mini trucks that you see all around here, helping us to fight fire. So we got the 8 trucks, 1 ambulance, to help us fight fire. So I think if you went to a station, you saw those small red trucks. We got them all spread out to Station 2, Boma Bridge, Banner Bay, PFA Town Hall. So we are doing our best with the ambulance, not only doing firefighting, but even when there's an emergency, they call us and our team will go and assist. If they can't handle the case, they refer to a hospital. Get the person to get on JFK and then when the hospital arrives. So we just thought to update you that we are making some efforts. We have some administrative vehicles, we have operational vehicles. Even the old one that we have, we're giving it out to other departments so they can also be able to work. And we just thought to bring that to your attention and we'll update you on what we are doing here. So normally, according to the rules, when you purchase, the Minister of Finance and Fiscal Audit come to make sure that what you put in for is what you brought. So they come to check to verify it. And that's what the team from Minister of Finance came to do. So again, right now we are in discussions with other people. Firefighting has to do with time.
He is the Director General of the Liberia National Fire Service, Wasua Bravo, there speaking. A retired professor of the A.M. Dougherty School of Medicine, Dr. Rosidat Marshall, in partnership with Voices of the Elders, has donated assorted items to service organizations across Montserrat County in celebration of her 80th birth anniversary. Yana is Madam Dr. Rosidat Marshall.
I must thank the Almighty for giving me a strength. Turned 80 on November 11 last year, and unfortunately we were not able to celebrate it, but it is being celebrated this year in March. So I decided to choose 4 humanitarian organizations to donate to them, thanking the Almighty for the health and the strength and that He has carried me so far. And this is why I'm making the donations to the old folks home, on the corner of Front Street and Nelson. I'm also making the donation to the government clinic in Virginia, Montserrado County. That clinic was named in memory of my father, Robert C.D. Marshall, who was also a physician. The third one is at St. Stephen's Episcopal Church for the scholarship program for sending worthy students to school. The fourth one is World Inc., which is very close to my heart, an organization that was started by my mother, Mrs. Rachel P.S. Marshall, and it's about 30 years old now. World Inc. stands for Women Organized Resources for Liberia Development, and they have been involved in many situations during the war, helping students in school, building wells, also paying for teachers and paying for nurses to take care of those who were involved in the civil war in Liberia. So I will be making that donation to World, and I must say that would be my largest donation because it is close to my heart. So I think it's just something in my family. We're just, the little we have been given, we're willing to share it. Oh, we're talking about with the four organizations, it comes up to 2,500. Yes, to others, they might think that is nothing, but to those who are receiving it, I'm sure they will be very grateful.
Dr. Rosa Nasha used the occasion to encourage Liberia to remain united and patriotic amidst pressing challenges the country is faced with.
I belong to an organization called Voices of the Elders, and that organization work together. We are older folks, we are retired, most of us are retired, and we try to promote our unity in Liberia. We try to promote to see how we can move Liberia forward in terms of development. And amongst the younger folks, we try to preach integrity, accountability, unity, working together just to make Liberia the place that will be a happy place for everyone to live. And I'd just like to say thank you to all those. Thank you to Liberia. Thank you to JFK. I've always worked. Okay, I know we have some hard times there, and people feel that JFK does not do what it's supposed to do. But I've worked there, and I know that there are many, many good people who are underpaid, who are overworked.
She's a retired professor of the A.M. Dougherty School of Medicine, Dr. Rosida Marshall, there speaking. Well, on that note, this is how we like to draw the curtains on this early morning edition of King's News Broom. But before we take a leave of you, as tourists, we close the carry. The Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission releases 2023-2024 summary report indicating theft, fraud, and misapplications of millions of United States dollars at top government institutions. Residents of the borough of Newtown threatens protests against members of the majority bloc of the House of Representatives failures to reverse the suspension of other lawmakers. Spokesperson Samson Kari says the Unity Party-led government has violated nearly all the laws of Liberia. The Supreme Court issues writ of prohibition against the Liberia Annual Conference of the United Methodist Church, Ministry of Justice, and the Liberia National Police to explain recent scuffle for property ownership between the United Methodist Church and the Global Methodist Church. And away from Liberia, close to 70,000 South Africans have expressed interest in moving to the U.S. following Washington's offer to resettle people from the country's Afrikaner community, a business group has said. Nigeria is facing an escalating political crisis after President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in the oil-rich River State and suspended the governor, his deputies, and all lawmakers in the state parliament for 6 months. Many thanks to all of our reporters, correspondents, and contributors who helped in making this early morning edition of King's News a success. On behalf of the entire news team here at Royal Multimedia Business Group, my name is Otis Sankan, a presenter. Thanks so much for listening and watching. Good morning.